Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on ePCT, WIPO's online system for filing and managing PCT applications. My name is Pascal Piriou. I'm a Senior Customer Support Assistant at the International User Outreach and Support section at WIPO. Today, I'm going to guide you through how to use ePCT in combination with UK IPO as receiving office. As you may be aware, as of January 1st, 2026, you will no longer be able to file your PCT application using EOLF, and you will need to use ePCT. I will start with a PowerPoint presentation, and I will continue with a live demonstration. If you have any questions during the presentation, please do not hesitate to use the Q&A function in Zoom, and my colleague will answer them upon receipt. The panelists today are Fiona Doherty, Head of PCT Client Service Team 4, the team in charge of PCT GB application at the International Bureau in Geneva. We also have Ismail Abdulaziz, Client Advisor, and Anna Roslik, Assistant Examiner, both working with Fiona in PCT Client Service Team 4. And finally, we also have a special guest, Sarah Purcell, Business Change Manager at UK IPO. Many thanks to them for managing the Q&A today during the presentation. We will take some time at the end to answer some questions live, and let's dive in now into ePCT with the PowerPoint presentation. So today we will cover what is ePCT, ePCT filing and ePCT filing with ROGB, connections and access rights, actions, ePCT general features, and what's new in ePCT 4.16, which was released last week. And then we will see some help with ePCT. So I hope that all of you have already used ePCT, but in case you don't know what is ePCT, ePCT is a web portal developed by WIPO that provides PCT online services for both applicants and IP offices. The user interface is available in all 10 publication languages, and for sure it's available also in English. In case you want to practice with your French, you can also use the interface in French. It provides secure and direct interaction with PCT applications maintained by the International Bureau. As of today, it's possible to file with 91 PCT receiving offices worldwide, including, for sure, ROGB. ePCT allows applicants to conduct a number of electronic transactions that we call actions with the IB, but also with other IP services. Receiving offices, ISAs, IPA, and designated offices can also access PCT applications via secure online access. And ROGB, for your information, is now using ePCT for offices in order to process new international applications. And we have an increase in the number of IP offices who are now using ePCT for their regular PCT business. Then we also have a useful functionality in ePCT, which is the office profiles, which give you access to useful reference data and allow you to look up if an office is using ePCT. And I will come back to that at the end of the presentation. Now some statistics about ePCT filing. In 2024, 114,000 PCT applications were filed using ePCT. There was an increase of 8.9% compared to 2023. Now some statistics by receiving offices in 2024. And as you can see that in 2024, only 20% of PCT applications were filed using ePCT with ROGB. However, since as of the 1st of January 2026, It will no longer be possible to use EOLF, and ePCT will be the only method for filing PCT applications. Then it will reach almost 100%. With ROIB, 93% of PCT applications are filed using ePCT. And then we have the list of all the other receiving offices. And the last bullet point will indicate all the receiving offices where almost 100% of PCT applications are filed using, again, ePCT. So how to access ePCT? It's quite easy. First of all, you need to create a single WIPO account, meaning with a username and password, and then you can have access to ePCT and also to other WIPO online services. So for example, if you are already a user for eEgg or eMadrid, or you use also DAS, there is no need to create a separate WIPO account in order to access ePCT. The same WIPO account can be used. In ePCT, we have two modes, ePCT with and without strong authentication. In ePCT without strong authentication, you can access it using your username and password. And as soon as you add the second factor of authentication with your WIPO account, then you can have access to ePCT with strong authentication. So what can you do using ePCT without strong authentication? You only have access to limited functionalities and only with ZIB. So meaning that you can only upload documents to ZIB. You can only send ePCT messages to ZIB. And then you can do 3 actions. The first one is to send amendments under Article 19 to ZIB in text format only. You can also request a change under Rule 92 bis at ZIB, but only for published applications. And why for only published applications? Because since you are in ePCT without strong authentication, we do not want to display confidential data. And as you know, all the data before publications are confidential. Then you can also submit third-party observation. And it's a practical alternative to send documents by post to ZIB. So always use ePCT in order to communicate with us and also with other authorities. So as soon as you set up another, you add a strong authentication to your WIPO account, then you can have access to ePCT with strong authentication. And then you can have access to confidential data and documents even before publication. Then you can file new international application. You can submit a wide range of online actions that we call actions. You can also upload post-filing documents to the IB and also to other participating offices like the receiving office, ISA, and IPA, provided that they accept e-routed documents using ePCT. You can also set up automated notifications regarding the life cycle of your international application. What are the different methods of strong authentication that you can add with your WIPO account? The first one and the most efficient one is a push notification using ForgeRock Authenticator app, meaning that you install ForgeRock on your mobile phone, and each time you would like to connect to ePCT, you will receive an automated push notification on your mobile phone, and then you need to click on Accept. Then you can also use an authenticator app with one-time password on a mobile device like Google Authenticator, or you can also install on your desktop, on your computer, WinOff, which is also an application which will generate a one-time password. And I always recommend our users to set up at least 2 strong authentication methods with their WIPO account, just in case one of them is not working. And I recommend you to use a push notification and also WinOff. Why? Because just in case one day you come to the office and you forget your mobile phone at home and you have a deadline to file an international application, then you can still connect to ePCT with WinOff. So that's why we always recommend our users to have at least 2 strong authentication methods. Then you can also use the SMS text message for one-time password. It will also work with a landline phone number, provided that it's a direct phone number. In such a case, you will receive a phone call from WIPO saying this is your one-time password 123456. Then we will have instructions on how to set up these different strong authentications. I'm not going to talk about WIPO digital certificate because we are trying to get rid of them and we no longer approve them. So yes, when you connect to ePCT with strong authentication, you can file international applications using ePCT. And for that, you need to sign in with your WIPO account and with your strong authentication. Then you click on the button Create New IA, and then you will fill in the screen in the order in which they will appear, and I will show you that when we will do the live demonstration. You can also find some useful FAQ articles on ePCT filing from our FAQ page. This slide is just a screenshot of a tutorial video on how to use ePCT to file your international application. So it's direct filing with 88 receiving offices. So meaning that all data and documents are uploaded and validated in ePCT. Then the package is transmitted to the receiving office server or to the server hosted by IB. And just for your information, our GB server is now hosted by IB since December 10. ePCT cannot be used to pay fees to receiving offices, and you always need to pay the fees directly to the competent receiving office with which the PCT application was filed. However, if you have filed your PCT application with RIB, so meaning the receiving office of the International Bureau, in such a case, yes, it's possible to pay the fees using ePCT. It's also a two-step process with US, Israel, and Canada. So 88 plus 3 equal 91 receiving offices. However, for US, Israel, and Canada, it's a two-step process, so meaning that you create a zip file in ePCT that you will need to upload afterwards to the competent receiving office website. So I will not go into deep detail for this because we are mainly here to learn how to file your PCT application with GB. So yes, it's possible to file PCT applications using ePCT with RGB since the 1st of July 2022. So this is not really new. However, since December 10, 2025, our RGB server is now hosted by IB, so meaning that you will have more functionalities using ePCT in combination with RGB. However, as of the 1st of January 2026, it will no longer be possible to file your PCT application using EOLF. So please make sure that you use ePCT as soon as possible in order to file your international applications. In case you try to use EOLF as of the 1st of January, you will get an error message telling you that you need to file your international application using ePCT. So again, ePCT should be used to file your PCT applications with UK IPO as receiving office. And again, ePCT cannot be used to pay PCT fees to UK IPO. Fees should be paid directly to that authority. So fees can be deducted from a deposit account with UK IPO or can be made by bank transfer once the application has been processed by this receiving office, and the amount due confirmed by the means of Form PCT R102, which is the form issued by the receiving office to confirm the fees to be paid. However, credit card and debit card payments are not allowed by UK IPO. If you have any questions on the fees, you can ask these questions to my colleague Sarah. So when you file with RGB using ePCT, all data and documents are uploaded and validated by the system. If you file your international application in PDF format, you will get 179 fee reduction. And if you file in DocX and XML, you will get a 268 fee reduction. Now that the server is hosted by IB, it's now possible for you to do same-day corrections before midnight in the RO time zone. And I will come back to that later on. I have a slide on this topic. And in order to have access to your application in ePCT, you don't need to wait for the record copy to be transmitted to the IB. You will have access to the entire content of your application, even if the application is still in RO phase. So since December 10th, so meaning since the RGB server is hosted by the IB, you can now send ePCT messages to the receiving office in addition to the IB. You can also upload post-filing documents to the receiving office in addition to the IB. You can also give eViewer access right to the receiving office before filing, for sure if you use ePCT, but ePCT will be the sole method of filing. And you can do also, again, some same-day corrections before midnight in the RO time zone. So signature is an important feature in ePCT, and as you know, all documents submitted to the receiving office or to another authority or to the IB should be signed by someone having authority on behalf of the applicant. So meaning it can be the applicant or the agent. However, someone having access to an application as e-owner or e-editor might be different from the person authorized to sign documents. So I always take the same example. In the paper world, we don't care who is typing the letter. We don't care who is putting the letter in the envelope and sending it to the IB. We care who has signed the documents. So it's exactly the same in ePCT. Anyone can have access to the application in ePCT. However, all the documents should be signed by someone having authority. We have different types of signature. In ePCT, text string signature. We also have image signature, and I think it's not yet authorized by ROGB. And when you do an upload of a document using ePCT, you can also indicate that the letter attached is already signed. And then finally, we have a useful feature in ePCT, which is the external signature function. So meaning that it will allow someone who does not have access to ePCT to sign documents. So for example, you are the paralegal. You prepare the draft application in ePCT. However, the request form, so meaning the PCT R101, should be signed by the patent attorney, and the patent attorney does not have a WIPO account. Then you can initiate an external signature in order for the agent to sign the request form outside ePCT. It can be also useful when you do the declaration number 4 for inventorship for the US in order for the inventors to sign the declaration. And I will show you that during the live demonstration. So now we come back to the same-day corrections. So once an international application has been filed using ePCT, Fiona, can you just mute yourself? Thank you. So once an application has been filed using ePCT, and you realize that something has been, a wrong document has been filed, then if you submit the correct document before midnight in the RO time zone, you can keep the same international filing date. And this feature is now available with ROGB since December 10, 2025. However, it does not apply to our US, Israel, and Canada because it's a two-step process. So in fact, it's to add replaced documents that were omitted or incorrectly submitted at the time of filing, and which will affect the international filing date, such as the description, claims, drawings, sequence listing, and pre-conversion file. However, if you realize that there is a mistake with the applicant's name, in such a case, a request under Rule 92B should be submitted, and the same-day correction does not apply. Again, it should only apply to documents which will affect the international filing date, meaning description, claims, drawings, sequence listing, and pre-conversion file. So when you have access to an application in ePCT, you have access to all the documents as held by the IB, but also with other authorities. So ISAEP, IPEP, or it can be also ROGB. So meaning that if you use ePCT to submit documents to these authorities, you will see these documents under the different authorities. Clone IA is also a useful feature in ePCT. Provided that an application has been filed using ePCT, you can clone that existing application, or it can be also a draft application, in order to create a new one based on the bibliographic data of the previous application. Then you can also choose to include any translation, any specification, and sequence listing into the clone IA. The only document which is not cloned is the declaration number 4, the declaration of inventorship for the US, as this declaration should be signed by the inventors. Connection. So a connection in ePCT will allow you afterwards to share access rights of PCT applications. So meaning that you will link two WIPO accounts together in order afterwards, again, to share access rights. And as you can see with the animation on the screen, you can do an unlimited number of connections. In order to do a connection, so you need to connect to ePCTs, and you click on your name in the navigation bar, you click on My WIPO account, then you scroll down to the bottom of the page, and then you click on Connection. In order to do a connection, you will need to enter the email address of the person with whom you would like to do a connection. Then this person will receive an automatic email by the system. They will log into ePCT with strong authentication, and then they will click on the Accept button in order to link the two WIPO accounts together. Once you have a connection with someone, then afterwards you can share access of PCT applications. In ePCT, we have different types of access rights. E-owner, it's the person who can do everything. So meaning can edit the application, can submit documents, and can also share access rights. And we always, and this is really important, we always recommend our users to have at least 2 e-owners per application. Just in case one of them is leaving the company, you still have someone else who can manage access rights. Then we have the e-editor. It's the person the same, can upload documents, can view the application, however, cannot share access rights. And the e-viewer, we say, can view but cannot touch, so meaning can only view the international application and can download documents but cannot upload documents. It's possible to manage access rights within an international application and to add only one connection, but it's also possible to share access rights with an access right group. And I will come back to that also during the live demonstration. And when you set up an access right group, it's possible to assign this access right group at the time of creating a new international application. Also, when you clone a new international application and when you edit the access rights. So when you file your PCT application using ePCT, for sure the filer will be the default e-owner. But you can also add connections, so meaning other people to have access to that application even before filing, and you can also apply an access right group. We also have a long list of different actions that you can perform in ePCT as soon as you sign in with strong authentication and you have access to that application as e-owner, e-editor. I don't talk about eViewer because the eViewer can only view but cannot touch the application. We always recommend our users to use the actions instead of the upload in case the action exists. Why? Because you will benefit from pre-filled bibliographic data and automated validation to avoid errors. And it will check also the time limit. So if I take the example of the change request under 192 bis, ePCT will check if you are still within the 30-month time limit in order to submit the request to the IB. Also, as you will enter the data yourself, when we will receive the action, it will reduce potential transcription errors from the IB. Furthermore, the request under 192 bis action is now almost fully automated, so meaning that in certain circumstances, the form IB 306 will be issued straight away. So if you would like to change, for example, the address of one of the inventor, you use the action, you submit it to the IB, and within less than 1 minute, you will receive your Form IB 306. Other actions, are also subject to review by the recipient, either by the IB or by the receiving office, the ISA or the IPO. When you use the actions, when you sign in with strong authentication, it's possible also to save the action in order to submit it later on. So when you sign into ePCT, the landing page will be your workbench. And from the workbench, you will have access to all the PCT applications for which you have an access rights as e-owner, e-editor, or e-viewer. And you also have 7 predefined shortcuts in order to sort the list of your applications. So the first one is current IS, so you will have access, you will see all your PCT applications, the draft ones, the ones which have already been filed. Last access will show only the ones that you have recently accessed. Then you can see all your draft applications, or you can see also the save draft actions. And you can sort also the application by unpublished and published applications. Finally, for all the applications for which the 30 months plus 2 months has already expired, the time limit 30 plus 2 months from the earliest priority date has expired, ePCT will prompt you to archive these applications. Why? Because these applications will now be in national phase and they will no longer be during the international phase. So in such a case, you can archive this application. And it's possible also to unarchive an application and to put it back in the current IS. So it's also possible to combine different criteria when you do an advanced search. So for example, if you would like to see all your application file with RGB, where the ISA is EP and the applicant's name start by ABC, then you can sort all the applications. You can also download your worksheet as an Excel table. And as soon as you select one or more applications from your ePCT workbench, then you will have an action button where you can manage access rights. You can move application from one portfolio to another portfolio. You can also remove your rights, and you can archive or unarchive an application. So portfolios are virtual folders that you create in ePCT in order to group your PCT application together, either by applicant's name or by agent's name. It's really up to you to decide how you would like to group the PCT applications together. When you remove an application from a portfolio or you delete a portfolio, it will not remove the applications from your ePCT workbench. Again, portfolios are virtual folders that you can create for yourself. However, it's not possible to share portfolios with other colleagues. So the timeline is also a useful functionality in ePCT, which is a graphical representation of the PCT time limits of your international application. You will also have the date and time displayed at the top of this page. The date and time in Geneva in Switzerland, just in case you have a deadline to file a document with the IB, then you will know if you are still within the time limit. And then you also have access to a summary of key dates. And I will come back also during the live demonstration to the time limit, because I think it's quite a useful feature, timeline. So then we will also have the ePCT notifications that you can set up under your preferences. So these ePCT notifications are sent to the email address of the person who connected to ePCT with their WIPO account. So meaning the email address associated with the WIPO account concerned. And then you will receive automated notifications from the system regarding the life cycle of your international application. And it's up to you to decide as e-editor, e-owner, and e-viewer. I would like to receive the notification by email or in the notification list, or by email only or only in the notification. And then you have the list of all the different notifications that you can receive from the system. Again, it's really up to you to decide which one you would like to receive. If you are just a paralegal filing international applications, but you don't care about the time limit to submit amendments under Article 19 or to submit a priority document, then you can untick the appropriate notifications and only keep maybe the last one, which is ePCT filing confirmation documents and bibliographic data available in ePCT. However, these ePCT notifications are independent from the official notifications sent by the International Bureau to the address for service. And we send to the address for service, in fact, the IB forms, all the forms issued by the International Bureau, like the IB 301, IB 304, IB 306, etc. Sometimes people are lost with all the different notifications sent by the International Bureau because they all come from ePCT no reply at wipo.int. Again, the ePCT notifications are sent to the email address associated with the WIPO account concerned for the application for which you have an access rights. And the official notifications, so meaning the IB forms, are sent to the address for service, so meaning the address indicated on the request form at the time of filing to receive notifications from the International Bureau. So I mentioned earlier during the presentation that the office profile is quite useful. It will help you to check in which extent ePCT can be used to communicate with other IP offices. So here I took the example of ROGB. So in order to access, first of all, the office profile, in the navigation bar in ePCT, you click on Help, and then you go to Office Profile. Then you enter GB as receiving as the authority, and then you go to Processing and Settings, and then you can see how you can use ePCT to communicate with that authority. So I mentioned that also in the previous slide, so meaning that now you can upload documents to the receiving office, even if the application is in RO phase. You can also send ePCT messages to the receiving office. Now, if you would like to submit document to ISA EP, so to the EPO as the International Searching Authority, and you don't know if you can use the ePCT, in such a case, you go again to the office profile, you select EP, and then you go to Processing and Settings, you select the authority ISA, and then you will see that yes, it's possible to upload documents to ISA EP using ePCT. However, you will see that it's not possible to send ePCT messages to ISA EP. So we had a new version of ePCT, which was released last Monday on December 8, 2025. And now it's possible to request access rights to an international application where there is already an e-owner. And again, the access rights request is sent to the address for service. So this can be useful just in case the sole e-owner left the company and you need to have access to the application. In the past, it was not possible to request access rights when there was already an e-owner and you had to contact PCT Services helpdesk. Nowadays, you can request access rights even if there is already an e-owner. So this is a big improvement. Then the next improvement, it's when a new party is added or an existing party is edited, the mandatory field notification method will be blank by default. So maybe you are aware that in the last version of ePCT 4.15, now we have two notification methods. The first one is ePCT with a link to view and download documents in ePCT, and the other one is email with PDF attachments. So meaning that in box number 4 of the request form, when you enter the details of the agent, now you should select if you would like to receive the IB forms either directly in ePCT, and then you will be notified by an email saying that you can view and download the form directly in ePCT, or you can receive also another email with the forms attached as a PDF. So it's now up to you to decide. In the past, the ePCT email with a link to view and download documents was selected by default. Now it's blank, and it's really up to you to decide which one you would like to receive. It's also now possible to generate existing IB forms and actions in all 10 publication languages. And in case there is a form IB 345 with dynamic text, AI will translate it into all 10 publication languages. So in case you have access to PC applications for which you are the agent for the national phase before the EPO, for example, and the application is a Chinese application and you don't speak Chinese. In such a case, you can translate the forms and also the actions which have been performed using ePCT. And now the last one, which is quite important, we now have a new service, which is the e-notifications, where the International Bureau delivers official notifications to applicants on behalf of offices via ePCT. So what does it mean? It means that now EPO, as ISA, as soon as they will issue the international search report and written opinion, they will upload the documents to the IB, so we will get access to the documents, and straight away we will send an e-notification to the address for service telling you that the reports are now available in ePCT. And in such a case, you need to have access to the application concerned in ePCT in order to view and download the documents. As you may know, EPO used to send the documents by post. Sometimes it took some time for you to get access to the international search report and written opinion. Nowadays, you will be notified straight away as soon as the documents have been uploaded into our database. So again, we have different notifications. We have the ePCT notifications, which can be set via preferences. Then we have the official notifications from WIPO, so meaning all the IB forms which are sent to the address for service. And now we have this new e-notification, which is also sent to the address for service, notifying you that some documents issued by other authorities are now available in ePCT. Then we also have the business continuity service. Just in case ePCT is down, then you can use a backup copy, which is the BCS. You should only use BCS in case of ePCT is not available, and in case you cannot access your WIPO account and you have a deadline to file your PCT applications. It's possible to file PCT applications with the 91 receiving offices who accept ePCT filing. However, you can only upload documents to the IB. You cannot use the BCS to upload documents to other authorities. You will get also the same fee reduction if you file using BCS as if you will file with ePCT. So meaning the fee reduction when you file in PDF and in XML. Again, please use ePCT system whenever possible to benefit from the full range of functions and validations. So we also have some ePCT tutorials on how to use ePCT. In case you want to practice with ePCT, you can use a demo mode, and I will use demo mode in a few minutes in order to show you how it works. And demo it's only for you, yes, to practice. Do not use confidential data or sensitive data using ePCT demo mode. And be careful not to be confused with demo mode and production mode. If you want to file a real application, use a production mode. If you want to practice, you use a demo. We had sometimes people who are using demo to file real applications, and then they ask us to transfer the application from demo to production mode, and this is not possible. So then you will lose your international filing date. If you need help from ePCT, so you click in the navigation bar, you click on help, and then you select FAQs, and then you will have access to different FAQ articles on how to use ePCT. You will also have access to ePCT webinar recordings and ePCT tutorial videos, PCT reference data lookup, and also you will have access to the office profile that I mentioned just earlier, and you have also access to the close dates and fees amount, etc. Now, if you want to contact my colleague at PCT eServices help desk, you can call them at 41 22 338 9523. The email address is pct.eservices@wipo.int, and we are open from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time, European Time. And now let's move to the live demonstration. So in order to have access to ePCT, you can go to wipo.int webpage, and from there, oh, hold on just a minute, my system is slow. And from there, you click on Protect and Manage. Then, under Patent Protection, you can select directly ePCT, and you will be redirected to the landing page of ePCT. And I will recommend you to bookmark this page in order to have access to ePCT at any time. So now I will switch to the demo mode because here I am in production mode. So in order to log into ePCT, you need to have a WIPO account, and then you need to set up a strong authentication. So I will enter my username and password. And then you select your strong authentication, which is associated with your WIPO account. And again, someone who is modern and trendy should use the push notification. So I use the push notification. I click on continue. I open my mobile phone. I just received a push notification. I click on it, and then I click on the accept button. And straight away, I will connect to ePCT. So this is a landing page of ePCT when you're signing with strong authentication, where you have access to all your ePCT applications for which you have an access rights as e-owner, e-editor, or e-viewer. So now I'm going to show you how to create a new international application using ePCT. So you need to click on the Create New IA button. Then you enter the file reference. The file reference is limited to 25 characters, and you cannot enter any special characters except the hyphen. So I will enter ROGB. Here we go. Then you select the receiving office with which you would like to file your international application. And for sure today, we are going to file with ROGB. Then, as I mentioned during the PowerPoint presentation, it's possible to assign access of the draft application even before filing. So under access rights, straight away, you can assign an access right group. And I will show you later on how you can create an access right group in ePCT. So I will select UK IPO. And you can see that myself, Pascal, and Jean-Luc are now e-owner of the application. My colleague Tamira is e-editor, and Zhao is e-viewer. Then also at the time of creating a draft application, it's also possible to put your application, your draft application, in a virtual folder that we call portfolio. So I will use UKIPO 2. Then I click on Create. Then the system will display again your file reference, the receiving office with which you would like to file your draft application. Then it will also indicate the date and time at the receiving office with which you file your international application. The filing method, which is ePCT, the language of the request form. So with UK IPO, it's only English. However, for the specification, you have the choice between English and Welsh. So it's possible also to file your international application in Welsh, but in such a case, you will need to provide a translation to the receiving office. Then you click on Update. And as I mentioned, you need to enter the bibliographic data in a certain order in ePCT in order to reuse the data afterwards. So the first data that you need to enter is the priority claims. So you click on the Add button. Then you can select if it's a national or regional or international application. So let's say that it was a national application filed with GB. Then you enter the date of the earlier application when it was filed. So, and as you can see, the calendar will open automatically 1 year in the past, because usually you file your PCT application, so meaning your international application, within 12 months from the earliest priority date. So let's say that the earlier application was filed on the 31st of December 2024. Then you need to enter the application number. All the data that I'm entering right now are fake data. Then, since the earlier application was filed with the same receiving office with which you file your international application, the system prompts you straight away that you can request the receiving office to transmit a copy of the earlier application to the IB. Otherwise, if the office of first filing is different from the receiving office, in such a case, you can select to be provided by the applicant. It's also possible to request the International Bureau to retrieve an earlier application from DAS, provided again that the earlier application was filed with a DAS depositing office, and UK IPO is a DAS depositing office. So yes, I will request DAS, the IB, to retrieve the earlier application from DAS. So then I will enter the DAS code, and ePCT will check as soon as I will click on OK that the earlier application is registered in DAS. If it's not the case, ePCT will show me an error message. So for example, I will change the data here to 0. I will click on OK. And then you see priority claim data does not match any document in DAS. So meaning that ePCT is checking that the earlier application is registered before you request the IB to retrieve the earlier application from DS. The same in case the DS code is not correct. I should get an error message, access code incorrect. So now I will correct it with the correct code. And now ePCT will allow me to request the IB to retrieve the priority document from DS, because now the system is aware that the earlier application is registered in DAS. In case you want to add another priority claim, you can click on the Add button and so on. Then you have all the designations, so meaning all the designated states which are available at the time of filing your international application, and there is nothing to do in this section. However, it's possible to exclude certain designations like Germany, Japan, and Korea, provided that you have an earlier application which is claimed in that international application. Otherwise, it's not possible. It's also possible to add parent application or patent grant for designation, which can be sometimes useful for the US in case you have a continuation or a continuation in part. Then it's also important to click from time to time on the Save Draft button. First of all, to save your data, because there is no autosave in ePCT. So it's really important that you click from time to time on the Save Draft button. Then also to run the validations, because when you enter the bibliographic data in ePCT, ePCT will run some validations. And as you can see here, we have the names and also the documents which are in red. So red warnings will prevent filing, and you need to correct them before you file your international application. Then we have the orange warning, who will not prevent filing, but will require a correction either from the receiving office or from the International Bureau. And then we have the blue warnings, which are only for information and do not prevent filing also. So as you know, it's mandatory to have at least one applicant who has nationality and or residence before the receiving office with which you file your international application. And it's also mandatory to add a specification with something will look like a description and claims. So that's why we have these two red warnings. So in fact, ePCT is checking the Article 11 defects. So in order to add the names, it's quite easy. You click on Add Applicant Inventors. Then by default, it's applicant, but you can change it to applicant and inventor or inventor only. So I will first add an applicant, and then you can use the address book. So I do have an address book. Here we go. And then when you use the address book, the system will pre-fill automatically the bibliographic data. So I will do that. I should have someone, yes. Yeah. London. So here you see all the data are pre-filled automatically because the data have been taken from my address book. Then for the applicant, as soon as you have an email address, it's mandatory to indicate how you would like to receive the notification. So again, ePCT with email with a link to view and download the documents in ePCT, or email with PDF attachment. So here I will select ePCT. Now I will add an inventor. I select inventor only. Again, I can use the address book. And it's also possible to have access to several address books. So meaning that you can upload, people can share access of address book with someone with whom they have a connection. And then you can have access to several address books. So now I'm going to move to the demo address book. And I would search for Mr. Ford. And Ford Harrison is here. Okay. Oh yeah, here something is missing. The state of Milwaukee is Wisconsin. Okay. And then once you have started to enter the data, and if you enter the data manually, it's also possible to add the party that you have just entered manually to your address book. In order to do so, you click on this button and you see Add to Address Book. Then you can click on it and you can say Add to Address Book. Then it's for sure this person already exists, but you can also add it or replace the contact in case you have modified some contents. Now I'm going to add an agent. Then you click on the Agent Common Representative Address for Correspondence button. Then by default, agent is selected, but you can change it to Address for Correspondence. And then the default selection is natural person, but you can also change it to legal entity. So here I will put myself as agent. So I will search for myself in the address book. And here again, I need to indicate how I would like to receive the notifications. So again, it will be for me ePCT with email with a link to view and download the documents in ePCT because I have access to that application in ePCT. Just for your information, because we had a question on that, to whom we send the IB forms. So in case there is an agent, we always send to the address for service, so meaning to the email address indicated with the agent. Even if you indicate an email address for the applicant, we will not send the forms to the applicant. We will only communicate with the agent. However, in case there is no longer an agent for a particular PCT application, in such a case, we will send the IB forms to the deemed common representative, so meaning the first applicant who has the right to practice before the competent receiving office. Then the ISS, so by default is EPO, because when you file your PCT application with UK IPO as a receiving office, the default international searching authority is EP, so you cannot modify it. Then you can request the system to, request the ISA to take into consideration the result of the earlier search. To do that, you click on the appropriate button. As you have already entered the earlier priority claim, then you can select it. Then you will request the ISA to take into account the result of the earlier search. You can indicate that yes, the earlier search is the same as, the earlier application is the same as the PCT application, so meaning the international application. As the earlier search was already done by the EPO, I would say that it's already available to the ISA. You can also indicate that a copy of the earlier a copy of the result of the earlier search is also available with the ISA. A copy of the earlier application, yes, and a copy of any cited documents. I do not tick translations because my earlier application was filed already in English. So I click on the OK button. And as you will expect to get a reimbursement on the international searching fees, in such a case, you can use you can click on the Add Reimbursement Instructions. In such a case, you will need to indicate the your deposit account with the EPO, and I think it starts with number 28, and then you click on Update. But this is up to the ISA to decide if they will reimburse you. Then you can add declarations. I will not go through all the different declarations, but I would like just to show you the declaration number 4, which is for the US, and to show you the external signature. So I select the declaration number 4, which is inventorship for the US, because this declaration is only for the purpose, for the designation of US. Then you select the inventor, Ford Harrison. Automatically, the system will pre-fill all the bibliographic data. And then, as the inventor has to sign the declaration number 4, and I'm not authorized to sign on behalf of Mr. Ford. So therefore, I will send an external signature request to Mr. Ford. But as we are in demo, I will pretend that I am Mr. Ford. So I will send the external request to myself. So you need to indicate the email address to whom you would like to send the external signature. And you need also to confirm the email address. Please note that the external signature request will expire after 7 days after sending. So meaning that the person who will receive the email to sign the document outside ePCT will have 7 days in order to sign the documents. 1 day before the expiration date, they will also receive a reminder from the system. So now I click on Add and Send for external signature. In a few minutes, I will receive an email and I will come back to it. So now I will continue to fill in all the different bibliographic data for my international application. So under Biology, you can create a form R134. You can attach an existing form, or you can prepare one using ePCT. Here we go. Then you indicate in which page you have your biological material. Let's say on page number 10, on which line, where the biological material was deposited. So let's say at the ATCC. Then the system will display the appropriate address of the institute, when it was deposited, and it's the same as for the earlier application. Usually it's 1 year in the past. So I will select the 31st of December 2024. Then you indicate the accession number. You can add additional indication, and you can add also a separate furnishing of indication. You can also indicate if the biological material are for all designations or for specific designations. Then you click on the OK button, and then you can preview the form PCT R134, which was prepared using ePCT. So now we come to the documents. I will click on Add Specification. So this is a place where you will need to add your descriptions, claims, abstract, and drawings. And the default selection is docx format, because we try to push our users to file in docx. So when you file in docx, we will convert it into XML, and you will get the higher fee reduction. But it's also possible to file in PDF format with separate files, or as a single specification in PDF format. And you can also file directly in full XML. So for me, I will use the docx. If you want to use the docx, please make sure that you read carefully the user guide and also the sample files, because the docx should be in compliance with PCT Annex F. So I click on Add docx. I select my docx application, and I upload it to the system. We just wait. Here we go. When you upload documents in ePCT, we always recommend our users to preview the documents, how they will be rendered at the IB. So here I'm filing in docx, but we will also convert the documents into PDF. And then for internal processing, we will also convert them into TIFF images. So that's why it's always recommended that you click on preview documents on how they will be rendered at the IB to make sure that when we convert them into TIFF images, they are in the correct format and we did not lose any characters. So now here we go. So the system has detected that there is no formula in the abstract, so it's correct. Then you will need to indicate which figure should accompany the abstract. So either none or figure 1 or figure 2. As it was a docx, the system was able to identify that I had only 2 figures. So I select figure 1. Then you need to indicate if the figure contains some text or no. So for me, it's no. Also, the system has detected that I have some grayscales on the drawing, so automatically the system will tick the box, the specification contain color or grayscale. And if in case you do not agree with that, you can untick the box. Just for your information, it's possible to file color drawings. However, we will do the publication in black and white. So meaning that the IB will convert the color drawings in black and white. However, we will indicate on the front page at the time of international publication that the as-filed application contained color drawings, and then they will be available on Patent Scoop. And then it will be up to the national offices, if they accept color drawings, to take into consideration the color drawings. Then ePCT will extract the title as indicated on the first page of the description in order to display it on the request form. And please make sure that the title indicated on the first page of the description will match the title indicated on the request form. Otherwise, you will receive an invitation to correct defects from the receiving office or from the international bureau. Then we have also extracted the abstract. However, the abstract is not editable. It will be up to the IB to double check the text extracted by the system with the text as indicated in the abstract page. So I click on the Save button. Now I will click again on Save Draft button. Then you will see that the names and the documents are no longer in red, but now the declarations is in red because I'm still awaiting an external signature. So I will continue and I will come back to the external signature in a few seconds. Then under accompanying items, you can add a general correspondence if you want. And in case you file in PDF, it's always recommended to attach the pre-conversion file when you file your international application. Because in case there was an issue when you converted the Word document into PDF, the IB can rely on the pre-conversion file in order to do a republication. And it's mandatory that you upload this pre-conversion file at the same time as you file your international application. If you want to send the pre-conversion file after the filing date of your international application, it will change your international filing date. So please make sure that you do that at the time of filing. Then we have the fees. So you can see you can show the fees to be paid. Again, the fees should be paid directly to the competent receiving office. And here, as I'm filing in XML, I will get a 268 fee reduction. The default method of payment with RGB is no payment for the time being, but it's also possible to select deposit account. In such a case, you will indicate the deposit account that you have with RGB. And then RGB, when they will process the international application, they will withdraw the money from your deposit account. Please also be reminded that RGB does not accept payment by debit or credit card. Then I need to sign. to authorize the receiving office to withdraw the money, and I click on update. Then I need to sign the request form. So here it's an orange warning. It will not prevent filing, but in order to avoid a correction or an invitation to correct defect, I will enter the signature of the agent. So here it's myself, and then I will autofill with the signatory. So you can use this button in order to pre-fill automatically the name of the signatory. So I click on the OK button. And now I'm going to check my emails to see if I received the external signature. Yes. So I lost the email. So, as I mentioned, the external signature is a useful feature in ePCT in order for someone who does not have access to the application, who does not have access to ePCT, to sign documents outside ePCT. And this is quite useful, especially for the declaration number 4, when the inventors need to sign the declaration, because you are not going to ask the inventors to create a WIPO account. So in such a case, you indicate the email address of the inventor. However, when you do the external signature, we do not send any documents. So it will be up to you as a paralegal to send separately the document to be signed. So here we also have a warning, a deadline to file the international application. So we have until the 31st of December 2025. Then we remind also the signatory that they have 7 days to sign. Then we have the name of the document to be signed. So it's a declaration number 4 for a new international application. And then you also have a unique external signature request ID. So when you will send the declaration number 4 by email to the inventor to let that person to know which documents they are signing, they can double check that the number indicated on this email is the same as the number indicated on the top of the document to be signed. Then who has initiated the external signature, when, and when the external signature will expire. So again, 7 days later. So in order to sign, I click on here, and then a dedicated page will open in order for the person to sign the documents outside ePCT. So as you can see, I don't need to sign into any WIPO account. I just click on the link, and then this page will open. Then we get the external signature request. Again, it will repeat all the information which are in the email. When you will need to sign it, that it will expire in 7 days. And then you need to select approve and sign documents. In case you don't want to sign it, you can always click on reject document. But here I'm going to sign the document, which is the declaration of inventorship. Then the inventor can sign using the text signature, can use an image signature, or can use the hand-drawn signature. So I'm going to use it, so meaning that you can sign with your mouse. I click on submit. I click on confirm. Then now the person who has initiated the external signature will be notified by the system that the declaration number 4 has been signed by the inventor. So now I go back to ePCT. I click on refresh to check external signature status. We just wait a few seconds. Here we go. Then now I can click on preview arrow 101. Then I will have my request form, so meaning the form PCT arrow 101. Again, it will indicate that the request form has been prepared using ePCT, and then we have the version. We have the title of the invention, the file reference with which receiving office the application is filed, the first applicant, then the inventor, the agent, the earlier application, Then we have the information that the ISA is EP, and we requested the EPO to take into consideration the result of the earlier search. And then underneath, we have the declaration number 4, which has been signed by Ford Harrison with the undrawn signature. Then we have the checklist and the signature of the agent. So let's go back to ePCT. So now my application is ready to be submitted. So I click on Review and File. Now ePCT will show me all the different defects on the top, and here there are only blue warnings, which will not prevent filing, but they are just for information. It does not mean that you should not you should ignore them, sorry. But here we are in demo, so I'm not going to check them. Then you scroll down to the bottom of the page, where you will have the File International Application to RGB button. So I click on it. Again, the system will display all the different warnings in the application. And then I need to click on Confirm and File. And automatically the system will transmit my international application to the receiving office server. And here we are filing with ROGB, so meaning it's sending it to the ROGB server, which is now hosted by IB. And in a few seconds, I will get my international PCT application number, the date of receipt at the receiving office, and we just wait a few seconds. Now, here we go. So you can see that now my draft application has been filed with ROGB, and the PCT application number, which has now been assigned, is PCT GB 2025/040043. So I can click on the close button, and straight away I will have access to my application as filed. So this is now the file view of the PCT applications. So this international application is now in our phase in order for the receiving office to process that international application, and then the receiving office will transmit the record copy to the IB for processing. So when the application is still in our phase, and I mentioned that during the PowerPoint presentation, it's also possible now, and it's now possible for you to send ePCT messages. So meaning that you click on Send ePCT Message, you select the recipient, IB or receiving office. Then you select the subject. So here you have a long list of different subjects. So I will select Other. Subject, I would say again Other. And then I can say, hello, colleagues. How are you today? So it's only an informal communication between the applicant or the agent and the receiving office. So you can also communicate regarding access rights. If there is an issue with the access rights, in such a case, you will contact the IB, but in case you want to communicate with the receiving office, you will select the arrow as the recipient. Then you need to sign the ePCT message, and you click on Send. The message has been sent successfully, and now the ePCT message will appear under Documents for ROGB. The same, the receiving office can also reply to an ePCT message which has been sent using ePCT. So it's an easy way of communicating, and it's secured between the applicant, the receiving office, and also with the international bureau. You can also now upload documents to the receiving office. So you go to the document section, you click on Upload, then you select again IB or receiving office. So I would select arrow. Then you select a document type. So here I will select General Correspondence. And then you attach your document as in a PDF format. So I will select my letter. You can also preview the document, how it will be rendered. So this is my letter. Then it's possible also to add another document. It's really up to you. You can add also an informal message, but this is not mandatory. And then you have to sign. So you can sign using a text signature, an image signature, or you can use also the external signature. But you can also indicate that the document attached is already signed by the applicant or the agent, which is the case for me. So I will select this button, and then I will just click on Upload. So you see that now you can submit documents directly to RGB using ePCT, even if the application is still in RO phase. And you see here the document. Each time you upload a new document, the latest document uploaded will appear with a yellow background. So I will stay in my draft application. And I mentioned during the PowerPoint presentation that it's possible to do same-day corrections. So here I will pretend that I have uploaded the wrong set of claims at the time of filing. So now I can request the receiving office to replace the claims as filed by the correct set of claims. So for sure, the same-day correction is only to the receiving office. It's for the receiving office. So that's why you cannot change the recipient. Then you indicate which document should be replaced or corrected. And again, it will apply only to documents who will affect the international filing date. So meaning the description, claims, abstract drawings, sequence listing, and pre-conversion file. So then I will select claims. I will add my new set of claims. And then it's mandatory to indicate why you are uploading a new set of claims, because the receiving office cannot guess. So that's why I will say I uploaded the wrong set of claims at the time of filing. Please find attached the correct. Thank you. Okay, so now you need to sign. So I will sign myself as agent, and I will click on autofill with signatory name. And as you can see here, you have the time remaining for same-day corrections. So meaning that I still have 12 hours and 41 minutes in order to do a same-day correction with ROGB. So again, you have to submit your same-day corrections before midnight in the receiving office time zone. So here the system is telling me that yes, I still have time to do my same-day corrections. So now I click on upload. And close here. And the same-day correction will appear again on the documents for RGB, and they will be displayed here. So now I would like to show you how to clone an international application using ePCT. So again, it can be used with a draft application or for a filed application, provided that it was filed using ePCT. In such a case, you open the application concerned, then you click on the PCT application number or file reference, and then you click on the clone IA. Just wait. Now you will need to give a new file reference. Please be reminded that it's not possible to file two PCT applications with the same file reference by the same person. So meaning myself as Pascal, I cannot file another PCT application using the same file reference as the one indicated here. So I will need to change it. I will change the last digit to 7. Then again, you can select the access right group. So I will select this time WIPO. So again, it will be myself, Jao, and Jean-Luc and Tamira who will have access to the application. I can select a virtual folder if I want. And then I tick the box, check this box to include the files making up the specification, including any translations and any sequence listing part of the description. The only document which is not cloned is the declaration of inventorship, because the declaration should be signed by each inventor. So I click on confirm. So we just wait. Here we are. So you can see that within few clicks, you can create another application based on another draft or already filed application, which can be useful when you file a lot of PCT applications from for the same applicant. So I'm not going to file it again because you know now how to file the application, but it was just to show you how you can clone a new international application. For those who were using PCT Safe in the past, in PCT Safe, it was called templates. So now I will open another application. Let's open this one. And I will just show you the file view of an application which has already been transmitted to the international bureau. So here you have again the status of the application, the international filing date, the ISA, the name of the applicant and the first inventor, and which team at the IB is in charge of that application, the filing language, and also the title of the invention. Then you have access to all the data as held by the IB. And here, this is quite useful. You have the international publication. So meaning that from here, so this one is not a good one. I don't know why we don't have the data, so I will open another one. I'm sorry. So I go back to the data. I go to international publication. No, something must be wrong with the system. Okay. So, but anyway, usually you can see the date when the international application will be published. And you also have usually a button here where you can preview the front page. So meaning that you can review all the bibliographic data before the international application will be published. In case there is a typo made by the IB, for example, then you can contact the IB, meaning the team in charge of the application, by an ePCT message, and you can tell them you can request them to correct the typo. In case the typo was made by the applicant or by the agent at the time of filing, then it's a change request under Rule 92bis. So I will not going to go through all the different bibliographic data because you must know what it is. Then we have the documents. So again, you can upload document to the receiving office or to the ISA or to the IP or to the IB. Then you have all the documents as held by the IB. In order to view documents, you can click on the view button and automatically it will open the document concerned. Then I mentioned also during the PowerPoint presentation that you can perform the different actions using ePCT. And here you have a long list of actions that you can do with the IB. I'm not going into deep details of the different actions because we don't have time today to show you all of them. Then you have the access rights. This is a place where you can manage access rights, either to add another connection as e-owner, e-editor, or e-viewer, or you can add also an access right group. And you can replace or you can add the access right group. It's really up to you to decide. Then you have the timeline, which is again the graphical representation of the time limit of your PCT applications. So here you have your earlier priority claim, when the application was filed, when the priority document was due. The red line is today's date. And then you can see when the application will enter into national phase. And then all the white boxes will indicate documents which can be submitted to the AB, but which are optional. So meaning that you can amend the claims under Article 19 further to the receipt of the international search report, but it's not mandatory. It's really up to you to decide if you want to amend the claims. Also, when you need to submit a request of withdrawal in case you would like to prevent international publication. Then you can also calculate other time limits. It will always be based on the earliest priority date, but for sure you can change the date. And then you have a summary of all the different key dates. Let's move up to the top of the application. When you click on the file reference or the PCT application number, you have access to different options. So you can add the application to a portfolio. You can also add warning messages. And I think this is quite useful when several people will have access to that application. So meaning you can say this application is ready. This application is ready to be checked. So meaning you as a paralegal, you have prepared something in the application, and then you would like the patent attorney to review the application. So you can add a warning message, and provided that the patent attorney has access to the application in ePCT, this person will be automatically notified by the system that a warning has been added to that international application. So this is quite useful in order for you to communicate with other colleagues within ePCT. Then you can add my comments, and my comments are only for yourself, so for myself. So you can add a comment there. I should do this tomorrow. So you can put some reminders. It's really up to you to decide how you would like to use my comments. Then we show the clone IA. You can also view the draft application as filed using ePCT. You can also download the IA status report in a PDF format. It's almost the same as the front page, but here you can also preview all the bibliographic data. You can also have access to the IA status report in XML, and then you have access to the history, who did what in that application. Then you can also add a bookmark, but I will not recommend you to use this feature. So let's close this application, and let's move now to the notifications. So I mentioned also during the PowerPoint presentation that ePCT will send you some ePCT notifications related to the life cycle of your international application. In order to have access to the notifications, in the navigation bar, you click on the bell icon, and then you select notifications. And here you will have access to all the different notifications which have been sent for all the applications for which I have an access rights. If you want to set the notification, you need to go to preferences. Under preferences, this is the place where you can decide which notification you would like to receive and how you would like to receive them, and according to your access rights. So for me, as e-editor, e-owner, e-viewer, I want to receive all the notification in the notification list. But for you, I will recommend you to select email plus notification list in ePCT. And then you can decide which notification you would like to receive. So for example, I am e-owner and access rights are changed by another person. Priority documents still outstanding and international publication is scheduled to take place within 2 weeks. Please be reminded that the priority documents should be received at the International Bureau before the publication date. So in case the priority document should have been submitted by the applicant, then you will receive a notification that it has not yet been received at the IPO. So then you have different time limits. I mean, messages which are sent regarding time limits. And I mentioned earlier that you can add warning to an application. So you see, if you tick this box, each time someone will add a warning to an application, you will be notified. And again, this is a useful feature in order to communicate with people who have access to that application. And then you also have new document process and or new form issued. So each time a new document is processed by the IB or new PCT IB form is issued by the International Bureau, you will be notified. Again, these ePCT notifications are sent to the email address associated with the WIPO account concerned. So meaning with the person who has access to the application in ePCT. Now, I would like to show you how to create an access right group. So maybe first how to do a connection. So to do a connection, you click on your name, you go to My WIPO account. Then you scroll down to the bottom of the page and you go to My Connections. From there, you enter the email address with whom you would like to do a connection. So for example, I would like to do a connection with Fiona. So I will enter Fiona's email address. And I click connect. Fiona will receive an automatic notification from the system, and then she will connect to ePCT, and then she will go to My Connections, and then here she will have a button to accept or refuse the connection. As soon as she will accept the connection, I will also receive a notification that it has been confirmed, and then our two WIPO accounts will be linked together, and then I will be able to share access rights of PCT applications with Fiona. So now I close that. Close also my WIPO account. And then in order to do an access right group, you click again on your name, and then you go to access rights groups. Then here you click on add access right group. You give it a name. So I will call it RGB. I click on save. And then the system will show me all the connections, all my connections. And then I can decide. So maybe, for example, I will add Moss in that group as e-owner, Jean-Luc as e-owner, Zhao as e-editor, and Tamira as e-viewer. And I click on create. Now that my group has been created, each time I would like to file a new international application, I can select that group in order for my colleagues to have automatically access to the draft application, and once the application will be filed, they will also have access to the application concerned. Now, in case you would like to have access to an application which was not filed using ePCT. So for example, you filed a PCT application using EULF, but now you would like to have access to these applications in ePCT. In such a case, you can do that from the ePCT workbench by clicking on Find IA outside my workbench. In such a case, you will enter the PCT application number, the international filing date, and then you will select the reason Request Access Rights. If the application has not yet been published, you will be prompted to enter the IB31 code, which is the code displayed at the bottom right corner of the form IB301, and then you can request access of that application in ePCT. Then an email will be sent to the address for service in order for them to accept or refuse the request for access rights. Now, when you select one or more applications from your ePCT workbench, you will have an action button. You can click on it. And from there, you can do certain actions. You can manage the access rights. You can remove your rights. You can move an application from one portfolio to another one. You can move an application to a new portfolio. You can also remove application from a portfolio. You can change also the notification method. Remember, all the official notifications sent by the IB can now be sent by email. Are sent by email either with a link to view and download documents in ePCT or with a PDF document attached to the email. You can also archive and unarchive applications. In case you have created a draft application that you don't want to file, you can delete the draft application, and you can also enter comments and warnings. So these are shortcuts. So I mentioned portfolios, how you can create virtual folders that we call portfolio. You just go to the ePCT workbench, you click on the small arrow, and from there you have portfolios. Then you click on create, you just give it a name to it. You click on save, and then you can put applications into that portfolio. So in order to do that, let's select two applications. You go to actions, you click to move to existing portfolio, click OK. Then you select the portfolio to which you would like to put these two applications. So here is to ROGB. Confirm. Again, when you remove an application from a portfolio, it will not remove that application from your workbench. The only way to remove applications from your workbench is to remove your own access rights. So for example, I no longer want to have access to that application. Just click here, I go to actions, and I select remove my rights. Are you sure you want to remove your own rights? Yes. And then I will no longer have access to that application in my ePCT workbench. I think we went through all the different features in ePCT. I'm sorry it was quite short, but we had only a limited time to do the PowerPoint presentation and the live demonstration. If you have any questions on ePCT, you can always use the help here. Select FAQs. And then you will have access to different FAQ articles on how to use the system. Then you have the latest articles that we have published related to the latest version of ePCT, which was released last week. Then, in case you want to know how to create a WIPO account, you go to WIPO account, and then you go to General. You will get all the information on how to create it, how to set up strong authentications. Then you also have access to ePCT training, where you have access to ePCT video tutorial videos, recording webinars, training, practice in demo mode, etc. So maybe now we are going back to the Q&A session, and I will ask my colleagues if they had some interesting questions. I think you had a lot of questions.
Hi, Pascal. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just to let you know, I had chosen one to answer live, but I had actually answered it in the chat. It was just about requesting access rights after filing, just to make clear to people that they can easily request access rights after filing.
Yeah.
And I've included the link there for both the video instructions and as well the written instructions in the ePCT user guide FAQ.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Fiona. Oh yeah. So yeah, the webinar is recorded and it will be available next week on the PCT webinar webpage, together with the PowerPoint presentation. So you will be able to download the PowerPoint presentation in PDF format directly from a PCT webinars webpage. And I will share also the link with the UK IPO just in case they would like to publish it on their website. Ismail, did you have an interesting question?
I think I answered a few, like my colleagues, but I think there are two outstanding in the Q&A.
Okay.
One from Mr. Jack Lawson. Is it possible to create an account rights group for multiple users that can be accessed from both sides? For large patent firms, access rights groups are beneficial, but if they are personal, then there's a lot of duplications that feel unnecessary, probably.
So yes, if for the time being it's not yet possible to share access right groups. So when you create an access right group, it's only for yourself. So for example, you add A, B, and C in your access right group, then you will need to request B, C to also create an access right group with A, B, C, etc. So each person will need to create their own access right group. We hope that in the future it will be possible to share portfolios and also access right groups.
As well, there's another question for Mr. Ilyas Ghanem.
Yeah.
Has an inventor applicant the right to submit his application on international stage directly without referring first to the national GB office? Think trying to understand.
So meaning that they would like, if an applicant inventor would like to file an international application, even if they do not have a priority claim, do you think this is a question?
I'm trying to, if Mr. Ghanem can just elaborate more on the question, because
So
it's not very.
For me, I understand the question like I would like to file an international application, but I did not file an earlier application with the GB. So yes, it's possible. You can file an international application even if you don't have an earlier application. You can file directly a PCT application. How about a person who isn't a member of an access right group? He can still send a request. Yes. So if you want to link to WIPO, if you want to link to WIPO to get two WIPO accounts together, you need to do a connection in order to link the WIPO accounts and then afterwards to share access rights. So in order to share access rights, you can apply an access right group, or you can also just add a connection to the application concerned in order for that person to have access to the application. So Elias Gaem said, yes, it's the right explanation. Thank you. This one, no. I think we went through all the different questions. Sarah, would you like to say something as you are from the UK IPO?
I'd just like to say thank you for everybody who has attended. I'm sure that the information is not enough at this point. It's been a really useful and quite in-depth conversation, but you probably haven't used it yet. So please use the demo mode to practice. That's really, really essential, I think, so that by the time we come to January, you have as much experience as you can, and we're on hand to help as our WIPO.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, and in case you need help with ePCT, I will show maybe the contact details again of PCT eServices. So you can contact my colleague at PCT eServices help desk by email at pct.eservices@wipo.int, or you can call us at +41 22 338 9523. And we are open from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central European Time. We will be closed on December 25th and on December 31st and January 1st. Otherwise, we are open from Monday to Friday. But yes, if you need any information or if you need help with ePCT, and if it's the first time that you are using ePCT, we will be pleased to assist you. Thank you very much.
And you can, of course, contact Team 4 as well. You can see that we can be contacted by ePCT message and also by email if you need any help with a particular application.
Can you remind us your email address, Fiona?
Yes, sure. It is PCT. Perhaps I could post it in the chat.
In the chat? Yeah.
Can
good.
I?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how. Oh, hold on just a moment. Sorry. I'm in the wrong screen. And again, our opening hours are more or less the same. I think, yes. I can only post, I think, to posts and to hosts and panelists, unfortunately.
You can change it. You can change to everyone.
It doesn't give me the option to do that. So
no, not me.
Okay.
So I can post it to Pascal, and perhaps Pascal, you have the option.
Hold on, it's PCT Team 4.
It's pct.team4@wipo.int. I'm sharing it with you now, if you can share it too.
It's pct.team4@wipo.int.
Yeah, I've shared it with you there in the...
Yeah, okay, I just put it in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I didn't select everyone, sorry. Repeat again. Here we go. Okay. So thanks again to all of you for attending this webinar today with us. Good luck with ePCT. Again, contact us if you need help with ePCT. I wish you all the best for the holiday season. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year for 2026. And good luck with ePCT. Thank you very much to all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.